Hello and welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast. I hope you guys are doing well. Andrew Musgrove here. And today we're going to talk about the nominees for 2 end of season awards, which has caused quite a bit of controversy, not just amongst the Newcastle United fan base, but across the footballing fan base as a whole. So yes, this week, yesterday, in fact, Thursday afternoon, the nominees for Player of the Year, Young Player of the Year, and Manager of the Year were confirmed. We're not going to talk about the Player of the Year because I don't really have any issues with that. Alexander Isak is in there amongst the likes of Declan Rice, Odegaard, Ollie Watkins. I'm not going to name them all. I think that nominees is actually okay. No issue with that at all. But Young Player of the Year and Manager of the Year, I've got a bit of an issue with, and I'm sure you guys will as well. If you're watching on YouTube, let me know in the comments what you think of the nominations. Let's start with Young Player of the Year. Now, Alexander Isak is listed in this as well, and he's up against Saka, Foden, Haaland, Menu, Palmer, Saliba, and Undogi at Tottenham. But there's one name missing that I can't quite get my head around, and that is Anthony Gordon. Now, I know this is a Newcastle United podcast, a Newcastle United YouTube channel. So if you've stumbled across it by mistake, by accident, by some wonderful works of magic, hello, and you're not a Newcastle United fan, you're more than welcome. Trust me, this is not a Newcastle United bias thing, because I think people who follow this podcast, listen to it, watch it, will know that I'm quite down the middle. You know, I love Newcastle United. I support Newcastle United. It is my job to cover Newcastle United, but I'm always fair and balanced. I'm not sitting here saying Tino Livramento, Lewis Hall need to be nominated for Young Player of the Year. That would be ridiculous. I am sitting here, though, and saying Anthony Gordon should be, without doubt, in that list. And for the life of me, I can't work out why he isn't. 33 games in the Premier League this season. He never seems to stop. 10 goals, 10 assists, double figures. The first Newcastle United player to reach double figures since Alan Shearer in terms of goal contributions. I think it was Andy Cole and Will Fox are the other two to reach double figures when it comes to assists. I mean, that's a great record. 33 games, 10 goals, 10 assists. He's been electric this season, especially through the dark days of the turn of the year when things weren't going well for Newcastle United. It really seemed that their season had fallen apart. It was in free fall. He was the shining light. His energy, unrivaled. His end product, unbelievable. He's looking to steal for, what was it, 40 million that they signed him. He silenced his critics. There was so much debate about whether Newcastle United, A, had overspent, and B, brought in the wrong character, because there were questions about his attitude and application at Everton. It didn't end well at Goodison for him. Hadn't played in quite a while for Everton until Newcastle United signed him. But he's come on leaps and bounds under Eddie Howe. We'd maintained on this podcast, once Anthony Gordon had had a full preseason under Eddie Howe, we would see the best of him. Did I think he would be this good? I'll be honest, no, I didn't. He has even surprised me, the man who saw it coming. I didn't think it would be this good, though. Absolutely brilliant. And for him not to be in this list, my mind is absolutely blown. I can't get my head around it. He's a joy to watch. He really, really is. Newcastle United would not be sixth if it wasn't for Anthony Gordon. He has been their Player of the Year. And I know Alexander Isak has been named in this list, and he's been brilliant. 20 goals this season, the first person to get double figures for Newcastle since Alan Shearer years and years ago. A tremendous player, a real goal scorer. What a joy he is to watch. But has he been more important than Anthony Gordon? I would argue not. And it's great to be able to sit here and say Alexander Isak, brilliant. Anthony Gordon, brilliant. It shows you how far Newcastle United have come. They're not just relying on one man. But if you're asking me who's had the bigger influence on this season, it is Anthony Gordon. And if you look at some of the names in this list, look, Saka is fantastic. Gordon will be going up against Saka for that place in the England starting 11 for the Euros in the summer. Phil Foden, okay, absolutely brilliant. Haaland, beast, absolute beast. But criticism around his all-round game, bit unfair, I think. I know Roy Keane started this debate up, but whatever. Haaland, 25 goals, Can't argue with that. Isak, as we've mentioned, superb. Manu is the interesting one. Now, I don't usually subscribe to what you could call conspiracy theories and what have you. I know a lot of people think Manchester United get the rub of the green, get the look, get the favour because of the Manchester United. And I don't usually buy into that. But I do question whether Kobe Manu, as good as he has been, would be anywhere near the England squad if he was playing for any other club bar Manchester United. 21 games this season, 2 goals, 1 assist. Stats are hardly setting the world alight. In fact, Lewis Miley played 17 games this season before his injury in the Premier League, scored 1 and set up 3 goals. So you could argue his stats are slightly better, at least when it comes to goal contributions. You know, Kobe Manu, going to be a fantastic player, going to be a star. But young player of the year? I don't think so. Not at all. And he'll probably be in the England squad as well, which I'm not too sure he deserves either. Anyway, Cole Palmer, brilliant. 21 goals, 5 assists. I know a lot of them have come from penalties, but he has been something special since his move to Chelsea from Manchester City. I know I had a little go at him on the podcast before Newcastle faced Chelsea a couple of months back, but that was maybe a little bit jovial. Absolutely fantastic. I actually said not too long after he signed for Chelsea that Newcastle should have gone after him because it was an absolute bargain, really, that they signed him for the price. And he's been brilliant, really good. He'll be in the England squad. He deserves to be in this list. Now, William Saliba, it's nice to see a defender in this list. And Arsenal have got the best defensive record. He's been a rock at the back. So no complaints there. Destiny Udogie, yeah, I can see to a degree why he's in. He's been one of Spurs' better players in what has been an okay season for them. They're going to miss out on the Champions League, but he has been a decent enough player. 2 goals, 3 assists. Better stats than Manu at Manchester United, but you could easily take Manu out of that list. You could probably take Udogie out of that list. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they've settled on 8, but I mean, nothing to take it up to 9 or 10, really, is there? Just Gordon needs to be in it. There needs to be an explanation to why he's not. You know, he's just something special. He's a real talent. He's been one of the Premier League's in-form players for months. His consistency knows no bounds. He's that good. I'm backing him to score against Brighton, especially if Gareth Southgate's in the stands watching him. He knows he's playing for a place in that England squad. I think he's probably got to shown up. He's playing really for his starting place, I think, in the England side, which is going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get him in, but he definitely deserves to be on that plane at the very least. And my goodness me, he deserves to be in this list for Young Player of the Year. Somehow he's not. The Premier League, please write me a letter and tell me how. Please write the Newcastle United fans a letter and tell them why he's not in this list. I just do not understand. He will be Newcastle's Player of the Year for me. He deserves to be in this list above Manu, probably above Udogie as well. I just don't understand. But hey, it's happened now. Let's move on to the other category. Manager of the Year. Now, wow. I mean, my first thought when I saw this list was, what on earth is going on? And I'm not necessarily saying Eddie Howe deserves to be nominated. I think there's a case for him to be nominated, given the injuries, and somehow he's guided Newcastle United to 6 when he's been missing the likes of Joe Linton, Callum Wilson, Sven Botman, and other players for long periods of time. Given that he's had a makeshift back 4 for quite a while, a makeshift midfield 3, no options to change the game should he need it in game, no options to rest players for the game after the one he's just played, and yet Newcastle United are 6th. Nothing spent in January, and yet Newcastle United are 6th. He has been unbelievable. I didn't even mention the fact that he's been missing Nick Pope since the turn of the year as well, which has been a huge blow. And yet Newcastle have rolled on, scraped results, and we are now seeing players return and form and performances pick up. So there is a case, definitely, for him to be nominated, like he was last year, for Manager of the Year. As we've spoken about on this channel in recent days, the argument, the debate will rage. If Newcastle United gets 6th, is it a big achievement than last season? I say it is, given the injuries, given the suspension to Sandro Tonali. It's been a tremendous season if they finish 6th or 7th. If they finish 5th, even better. but just to have European football, given everything that's gone on, would be some achievement. And on that alone, yes, he deserves to be nominated, I think, for manager of the season. Pep Guardiola, look, he's probably going to win the Premier League title. He is the league's best manager. He's probably the best manager in the world. So, yes, he deserves to be in there. Mikel Arteta, he has turned Arsenal into an established title challenging side. And for that, he deserves to be nominated. Look, they look like they're going to miss out on the league title, unfortunately, for them. Does that make it an unsuccessful season? Yeah, you could argue so. They've had a bit of a points gap as well. You could definitely argue that missing out on the Premier League is a little bit of a failure. But I would argue that actually just being, what they're going to lose probably by a point, that is progress. And you could argue that is success to a certain degree as well. Best attacking record, best defensive record, scoring 88 goals and conceding only 28. 26 wins are the most in the league. Look, turning Arsenal back into title challengers is worth shouting about. So I can see why he's on this list. Unai Emery, yeah, he's been brilliant. I really actually admire Aston Villa to a certain degree. Don't shout at me in the comments, but I like the way they play football. They've got some good players, and I like Emery. You can see why some sections of the Newcastle United board wanted Emery in charge. Of course, it went to Eddie Howe, and the rest is history. But he's a good manager, builds good sides. He was treated unfairly at Arsenal. Came in last season, halfway through it, Aston Villa would bottom 5, and he got them right up the table. Exciting football. Okay, they've fallen away in recent weeks, maybe looking a bit nervous over their shoulders, but thankfully Spurs, from an Aston Villa point of view, just don't know how to win games. Aston Villa, at time of recording, what are they? A win away from qualifying for the Champions League. What a tremendous achievement that is. And they've done that as well, bearing in mind they've been playing European football. And we've seen the impact that European football had on Newcastle United this season, and they've suffered with injuries. Somehow Emery's got the balance, and we know that's what he's good at. He's a Europa League kind of manager. He understands how to get that balance, and somehow he's getting Champions League football, or it looks like he will, out of this season. So yeah, nominated, of course. Why wouldn't he be? I think he stands a really good chance of winning it, actually. Then on to the final two. Andoni Iraola at Bournemouth, I think, is well worthy of the nomination. And I know some people don't think he is, but I definitely think he is. What he's done at Bournemouth is really, really special. Given their start to the season, I think he won once in his first 11 games, and then he's turned it around. They're in 10th place at the moment. Played 36, won 13, drawn 9, lost 14. Okay, the stats maybe don't read manager of the year, but he plays exciting football. He's built a really good team there. He's going to have a battle to hold on to probably 2 or 3 of his main players. Dominic Solanke linked to Newcastle United. What I like about this Bournemouth side is that they're not afraid to go up against the so-called big sides and take the game to them. I mean, they should have beaten Manchester United not so long ago. They were superb in that game. Really unfortunate. I like him for what he's achieved this season on a relatively limited budget. Season didn't start too well, as I've mentioned. Lots of pressure on him, and he's just found his feet. I think actually you tip your hat to the owners for not getting rid of him. They got rid of Gary O'Neill, looked a massive gamble. Gary O'Neill, by the way, has done a tremendous job at Wolves, and he could be within a shout for manager of the year in some people's eyes. But they got Iraola in. Was it the right decision? People asked. Didn't start too well for him. Look at it now. The right decision, and he deserves to be in this list. One man who definitely doesn't deserve to be in this list, although I'm not surprised he is in this list, is Jurgen Klopp. Let me just read you what the Premier League website says when they talk about why Jurgen Klopp has been nominated. Klopp's final season at Liverpool has been an unforgettable one. Has it? Has it really? I don't think it has. They set out to win the league title. They are not going to win the league title, and therefore it has been a failure. Not only are they going to miss out on the league title, but they are probably going to miss out on the league title by a good 5 or 6 points. Okay? It's not been an unforgettable season at all. Not at all. Announcing he was going to leave has had the opposite effect to the effect I think he was hoping for. It hasn't pushed Liverpool over the line. It hasn't motivated them. They've just looked average. Look, they're a good side. But to sit there and say the season has been an unforgettable one, I don't know what you've been watching. Whoever wrote this, no disrespect to you. I don't know what you've been watching. I mean, they haven't looked like title challenges for the last month or 6 weeks, really. I know they're only 5 points off Arsenal in second, 6 points off City, but they haven't. And they have not looked title challenges for a long time. He's won the award twice, and in the blurb of the nominations, it says he's overseen some remarkable results this season, including a 4-3 win over Fulham and a late 2-1 win at Newcastle, despite playing with 10 men. Wow. Okay. 4-3 at Fulham. Give Klopp the award. Go on, hand it to him. Utterly ridiculous. I mean, that game against Newcastle was all of Newcastle's own making. They should have won that game without a question, without a shout, without a doubt. They should have won that game. I mean, listing that as a reason for manager of the year, listing a 4-3 victory from pull the other one, you're absolutely having a laugh, aren't you? He's failed this season. By not winning the title, Jurgen Klopp has failed. Yes, he's won the League Cup, but this isn't about the domestic cups. This is about the Premier League. Liverpool are not the force they once were. You don't have that fear factor when you face them. I've not been impressed with them at all. You know, I don't understand why he's in this list. There are other more deserving managers that deserve to be in this list. Gary O'Neill, for example. Eddie Howe, as I've explained. Could you put an argument forward for Sean Dyche, given everything he's gone under? Let me know in the comments what you think. But I just cannot work out why Jurgen Klopp has been nominated for Manager of the Year. Is it because we want to see a fairy tale ending because he's going off into the sunset? Oh, wow. Well, you missed out on the Premier League title, Jurgen, but take the Manager of the Year. That'll sure make you happy. Absolutely ludicrous. Jurgen Klopp should be nowhere near this list. I would really be intrigued if anyone watching would disagree with me. When you look around the rest of the league table, I mean, yeah, Sean Dyche got Everton up to 15th, point deduction. They'd be closer to 10th than the relegation zone. You could argue, and it's looking unlikely, but if Rob Edwards manages to keep Luton up, he could be manager of the year. But Jurgen Klopp, most certainly not. Most certainly not. Absolute joke. You might as well just throw in Eric Ten Hag for the laugh now. Jurgen Klopp, have a word. But yeah, manager of the year, absolute farce, if I'm being totally honest. Just my opinion. I don't agree that Jurgen Klopp should be in that list. Who do I think is going to win out of those named? I'll be honest, it wouldn't surprise us if Jurgen Klopp did get it, in some weird and wonderful way. But if I'm being hopeful and being realistic, I mean, look, my hopeful shout would be for Iola or Emery. I think two massive achievements there. But if Eddie Howe didn't get it for getting Newcastle to the Champions League last season, then Emery can't get it this year. Surely not. I think you're probably looking at Pep Guardiola again, aren't you? I mean, you can't have passed the title-winning manager, surely. I think Pep Guardiola is probably the one to get it. He won it last year. He's won it 4 times, and he's on course to make history of Manchester City. And the first Premier League side to win the title in 4 consecutive seasons. And I think that probably sums it up right there. This award, Manager of the Year, will go to Pep Guardiola. If it goes to Jurgen Klopp, you'll see my little head, or actually, my wife says I've got quite a big head, explode. You will. Surely not. Got to be Guardiola's in the bag. Eddie Howe does deserve to be in that list. You could argue Gary O'Neill too, maybe even Sean Dyche, especially ahead of Jurgen Klopp. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you think. Are these nominations fair? I don't think they are at all. And I said I wouldn't, but I will just quickly remind you of the Player of the Season awards. We said Alexander Isak is in it. You've also got Phil Foden, Haaland, you've got Odegaard, you've got Palmer, you've got Declan Rice, and again, my mind just like Virgil van Dijk. How is Virgil van Dijk nominated for Player of the Year? Like what? Like he's won 186 duels, the second most of any centre back. So we're there. Who's got the first? Yeah, I mean, truly, whoever's got the first deserves to be in that list above Virgil van Dijk. Unbelievable, unbelievable. There are players that are not named in that list nominations that deserve to be in there. I don't think you can look past the players who have been nominated. I think Odegaard and Rice have been brilliant. I actually said in a podcast earlier in the week that I would pick Rice if it was my choice. I think he's the reason Arsenal are doing as well as they are doing. I think he's the difference. He's the one that's taken them up a level. He's absolutely brilliant with every penny of that 100+ million they spent, without a shadow of a doubt. I think he's absolutely superb. But you look around, Ollie Watkins is also on that list. You look around, there are other players that should be ahead of Virgil van Dijk. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I mean, look, Paqueta at West Ham, superb. Dominic Solanke maybe at Bournemouth, given the goals he's got. Just, I give up. There's my 2 pence on it anyway. Alexander Isak, nominated for both Young Player and Player of the Year. Congratulations to him. Where is Anthony Gordon in Young Player of the Year nominations? Let me know. And yeah, I've said my 2 pence worth on the manager there. I'm not going to rant anymore. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Hope you've enjoyed the podcast. Leave us a rating and review. Hit subscribe while you're at it as well. And head over to chroniclelive.co.uk for all the latest Newcastle United news. And we'll see you guys very soon.